Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's international break, and you know during international break we get the same few topics. Hazard, Salah. Was Drogba really that good? And of course, I think the most infamous international break topic, Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes. And of course, that conversation has kind of spurred up again, but we've actually had someone come to the stage and talk about it, and that's Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard featured on Rio Ferdinand's podcast this past week. And to be fair, obviously backed himself in the conversation, but really gave flowers to Scholes and Lampard, both for Lampard's unbelievable nose for goal and his ability to arrive at the edge of the box, and Scholes' ability to control games from deeper positions, even giving Scholes credit as he believed he would be the best midfielder in the Premier League today. No question about it. And today's video isn't really about Lampard, Scholes, and Gerrard, because honestly, you've probably heard the conversation a trillion times. I don't feel that passionately about it either. So it's not about that. I actually found that Gerrard's almost direction in which he took the conversation after the Lampard, Scholes, Gerrard thing was really, really interesting. And it kind of went into the direction of, well, if all three of them were so good, why weren't they able to make it work at international level? And that, of course, got the conversation revolving around England's golden generation of the 2000s. Why did they not win anything? Well, take a listen to what Gerrard has to say.
The more frustrating thing for me about the debate when I hear it a lot is, why hasn't there been someone over a 15-year period that's made us work together? And that's on, that's on me as well, because at times underperformed and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure Frank will hold his hand up, Scholes, they're all honest lads. But
do you not think the system sometimes facilitates players?
A two doesn't work with them three.
Can I just say this? First and foremost, I actually think Rio is a really underrated interviewer. I think he's really, really good at what he does. I know Rio is a very polarizing person in the football space. Some people don't like his style, but I think there's enough evidence now in a few of the interviews he's done on his channel to suggest Rio's very, very good at what he does when it comes to just sitting down with ex-professionals or even current professionals and first and foremost making them comfortable, because I think it's a big thing. That's not anyone can just do that. But also really getting good answers out of them. I thought his interview with Michael Owen is really good, his most recent one with Wayne Rooney, and of course this one of Gerrard. So first and foremost, I want to give Rio his flowers in that regard, because I know he's not always the most popular person, but I really enjoy his interviews. And secondly, I do find Gerrard already talking about the balance issue really fascinating, because I do agree. I think England definitely had an issue in that period, in the 2000s, with the way they were setting up, in particular in midfield. I mean, I think the early 2000s, you were seeing Gerrard and Scholes a lot of the time, but I think Lampard's almost ascension in 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006 almost forced himself into the team because of how brilliant Lampard was. And the odd man out in that situation was Paul Scholes. And I think, what was it, Euro 2004, where it's Scholes on the left, Lampard and Gerrard, and the two in midfield, and Beckham on the right, and it just didn't work. It wasn't a good fit whatsoever. Scholes is not a natural wide man, and Gerrard and Lampard are very similar in the sense that they both want to really bomb forward and score goals and create chances and break up play. They're all action Roy of the Rovers, typical British midfielders. And in a two, I think it leaves a lot of space in behind where one would inevitably have to kind of drop deep and sacrifice parts of his games. But then at that point, you don't have the best version of Steven Gerrard, or you don't have the best version of Frank Lampard. So I always enjoy hearing, not enjoy, but I always find it interesting hearing them 20 years later kind of talk about their stance on that. I'd like to know, at the time, did Gerrard think to himself, what the hell am I doing sitting here? Lampard almost think, maybe what if I had the freedom to get to the edge of the box and finish off a chance? Ultimately, I think the solution to this was playing three in midfield and maybe sacrificing one of the three. I mean, I'm a big Paul Scholes fan, so I might come off as biased here, but I can't believe the guy didn't get more minutes in the heart of midfield in Euro 2004, obviously if he hadn't retired, World Cup 2006 going forward. I almost think when you look at continental football, someone like Paul Scholes should be dominating that scene. When you look at the Xavis, the Pirlos, Scholes should be in that conversation when you talk about international football. It just never worked, but I would have loved to see at least try and fit the three of them in a midfield three, or sacrifice one of them, but still play that midfield three where maybe two of the three have the freedom to do what they want to do.
Or does one of you have to sit out?
Yeah, one of us, yeah. If you're playing the system that a lot of the coaches played, I think someone had to have the courage to say, well, Stephen, it's not you today, or Frank, or Scholes. Putting Scholes on the left and me on the right, or me on the left, or asking one of us to be holding just a sitter takes a lot away from any of us. But I think we could have played. I think we could have played together. I think we could have.
How does that look like? Because fair enough, I rate the fact that he definitely believes it could have worked out. But how does that look like? Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard. I know some people in the comments are saying, just put Scholes at the base of the midfield. I don't know if Scholes 2004 times was in that evolution of his career. You know, towards the end, Fergie was basically playing him deep next to Carrick, and he was pulling the strings from there. But that really came as he lost more and more of his legs, and he had to adapt his game. But I'm thinking Scholes 2003, 2004, this guy's playing off Van Nistelrooy, man. He's not really considered what you would think a holding midfielder. So to have Scholes holding with Gerrard and Lampard ahead of them, I don't know if that would have worked. Gerrard, you definitely didn't want to sacrifice his legs by playing him at the base. And then Lampard, his whole game is really attacking space going forward. So I don't know, would the three of them have worked in a three? I'm not too sold on that. This is where I personally believe the most underutilized player in English football in the 2000s was Michael Carrick. I firmly believe that. Michael Carrick was your prototypical holding midfielder in a three that could keep things ticking, be the first phase of build-up, allow more attacking players the freedom to go forward because they had that insurance policy behind them. I think he 100% should have been playing if you wanted to get the maximum out of Gerrard, Lampard, and or Scholes in a midfield three. But the three of Gerrard, Lampard, and Scholes, I think in theory it sounds nice, but would it have actually worked out? I'm not too sure.
I believe we had the football IQ and intelligence to adapt and make it work together.
Fair enough.
But there's a bigger problem with England, in my opinion. I think we were all egotistical losers.
Yeah.
Because I watch the telly now and I see Carragher sitting next to Paul Scholes on this fan debate, and they look like they've been best mates for 20 years. And I see Carragher's relationship with Gary Neville, they look like they've been mates for 20 years.
That one is crazy to me. I'm sorry. Seeing Carragher and Neville today, like obviously they still like, there's banter between them, right? They almost pretend not to like each other, but obviously they're very close now, right? They've been working together for so long now. But growing up and watching Man United versus Liverpool in the 2000s, watching those two in particular, right, butt heads as often as they did. I mean, there's an iconic picture. Let me pull it up for you guys. I mean, this basically summed them up, right? Like Man United, Mancunian, Liverpool, real Scouser, like this is what it was in the 2000s, man. Neville and Carragher, you could never have imagined in 2010 that 15 years later, these guys would be on TV together, laughing and joking on podcasts and national television. It's crazy to think about it now. So Gerrard's right. Like seeing now how they've almost been able to kind of move past that point in their career almost makes you think, why weren't you able to do it 15 years later? Was the competitive blood that strong? Or was it maybe, I mean, Gerrard says it going forward. I'll let you guys listen, but he hints at maybe a bit of immaturity.
Why didn't we connect when we were 20, 21, 22, 23? Was it ego? Was it rivalry? Was it... Why are we all mature enough now and at stages in our life where we're closer and more connected now? Why couldn't we connect as England teammates back then?
And that kind of brings me towards what I want to talk about in today's video. Gerrard is effectively suggesting that going to England camps was not a pleasant time for him or for a lot of players in the 2000s. I mean, we've heard so many stories about this, right? Players almost sitting in their own little cliques at lunch, Chelsea players not wanting to be seen talking to United players, Arsenal players not wanting to be seen talking to Liverpool players. No one almost wanted to give the other an edge for when they would return to their clubs and then contest for the Premier League title. And it effectively was club rivalry superseding the interests of the national team. Now, whether that was due to Sir Alex Ferguson or Jose Mourinho or Arsene Wenger, almost putting such a strong emphasis on your club being the most important thing in your life, or I don't know, something was going on at England camps, and these guys, they weren't boys. Let's call it what it is. We see England today in 2025, and I really want to give Gareth Southgate a lot of credit, whether you like him or not, because one thing he has effectively done is completely change the culture of the England Federation, right? This is now a place where you see at every single camp, Saka joking around with Reece James or Curtis Jones talking to Marcus Rashford. Yes, when they go to their clubs, they are rivals, 100%. They don't like each other, but when they go to the national team, let bygones be bygones. It's a unity. There's a unified group with one common objective. And it's not like these guys didn't want to play for England in the 2000s, but clearly they were not able to put their rivalries at club level aside for the greater good just for 1 month. Now, let me say this. I am not trying to say that what Steven Gerrard is saying is wrong, because many England players have said this. Many England players have suggested that a lack of unity and a lack of real cohesion affected them on the pitch. And I'm not in that dressing room. I'm not in these hotels. I'm not at these camps. So I have no idea of verifying that or not. I have no idea of saying these guys are wrong or not. So I'm going to obviously take their word for it. They're the players. They were there. What I will say is I think this point is over-exaggerated a little, or like it's overstated a little. Again, not trying to say it didn't happen, not trying to say it didn't affect them whatsoever, but I almost feel like sometimes people pretend this is the only reason the England Golden Generation didn't win anything. And I don't think it is the only reason. I don't actually even think it is the biggest reason. Personally, guys, I'm not sure how this is going to come across, but I'm just going to say it regardless. I kind of find that England Golden Generation a little overrated. Now, hear me out. That's not to say that they didn't have top elite players in numerous positions. Let's look at England, right? Ashley Cole is one of the greatest left backs ever. I mean, you could make the argument he was the greatest left back of his generation. Sure, Ashley Cole. John Terry and Rio were top level center backs. Sure, definitely. Gary Neville, good right back. I'm not gonna be the guy to say Gary Neville was the best right back in the world, but good right back. You can definitely live with Gary Neville at right back. In midfield, like you said, Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, Hargreaves. Even I really liked Owen Hargreaves. Good midfielders. Wayne Rooney, wonder kid. Honestly, at one point, one of the best players in the world throughout the 2000s. I would say at one point throughout the 2000s he was. David Beckham, 2000s. I'm gonna be real, guys. I think when this golden generation was really firing on all fronts in terms of what the players were doing, I think David Beckham was starting to come to an end. I think so. I think David Beckham's best period is early 2000s, 90s as well too. Let's be real, guys. 2004, 2006, 2008. He's halfway out the door to LA Galaxy. So with all due respect to David Beckham, absolutely ridiculous player, legend. I don't think his prime really coincided with the rest of the golden generation. Similar to Michael Owen as well too. I think if you look at it post 2003-ish times, Michael Owen is starting for England, but is this the Michael Owen that we know from 98, 99, 2000, 2001? No, he's not. So I think you're looking at a few distinct players that are 100% world-class players. But I think when you look at the overall squad, I think it's a good squad. I don't think it's a squad that you look at and say, they had to win this tournament because they are far and away the best team. Forget about even far away. I don't think they were the best team at any tournament they went to. Now, depending on when you think the golden generation started or not, let's put that to the side. Let's start even at the first tournament of the 2000s. Euro 2000. Now, again, I know England in Euro 2000, let's be real, Wayne Rooney is not there first and foremost. John Terry is not it's a different team. I get that, but I'm just trying to show you year by year. This talk about England not winning anything, I think is a little overstated. This is the France team that won Euro 2000. And bear in mind as well too, they of course won 98 as well too, the World Cup. And I know as well too, this France team is not the exact France team that played throughout the 2000s, right? But if you look at it, there's a few common characters that would feature quite heavily. Zinedine Zidane is the main one. First and foremost, let's call it what it is. England did not have one player on Zinedine Zidane's level. Throughout the 2000s, they did not have one player as good as Zinedine Zidane. We can agree on that, right? That's even just in terms of quality. In terms of performances, ladies and gentlemen, am I lying if I say Zidane is the greatest international performer of his generation, right? So it's not even that he's just really good, because Gerrard is really good. Zidane is consistently at international tournaments the best player at the tournament. I mean, top 2, top 3. You look at 98, you look at 2000, you look at 2004, you look at 2006. He's a baller. He's the best player in the world when the international tournament comes around. England do not have anyone on his level. Let's go 2 steps to the side. Thierry Henry. I mean, throughout the 2000s, is he the greatest striker of the 2000s when you take everything into account? I know R9 played in the 2000s, but his prime, a lot of it came in the 90s as well too. Henry's arguably the best center forward from 2000 to 2010. He's playing in this side as well too. And I always thought Henry and Zidane, they maybe didn't have the best connection. They didn't always play their best football together, but it's still Thierry Henry. I mean, Euro 2000, he was an absolute joke. World Cup 2006, he was pretty damn good as well too. Do England have anyone as good as Thierry Henry? He's not even France's best player. Patrick Vieira, for all the talk about Gerrard and Lampard and Scholes, 3 all-timers, France are rocking up the tournaments with Patrick Vieira. Patrick Vieira! So, yeah, England got ballers. France packed that thing too, man. And I'm going to tell you right now, you know who else isn't pictured in this? Claude Makelele, because he didn't go to Euro 2000. But World Cup 2006, he's there. So you're talking about Makelele and Vieira. That's ridiculous. I know Deschamps is in this picture. He didn't really play throughout the 2000s. But you guys just understand what I'm trying to paint to you guys right here. Desailly, Nicolas Anelka, Trezeguet. These guys are all competing with Henry to be France's number 9. Thuram, Pires, Laurent Blanc. Like, what I'm trying to sell you guys here is that England have a great team. France also have a great team. Like, France have an elite level team. And they won 1 tournament from 2000 to 2010. So who underperformed more? France or England? I know France won, but when you look at the names, I'm telling you, Emmanuel Petit as well too. I mean, 2006, they go on and add Malouda. They go on and add a young Frank Ribery. Like, what I'm trying to tell you guys here is these are elite teams. So England don't win Euro 2000. I understand we're not talking about golden generation per se. But could you fault England for not beating France or not even getting near France at that tournament? I wouldn't. Let's go to World Cup 2002. The winners of this as well too. And we're starting to creep into the golden generation, right? I know Rooney again, he's not here yet. Hear me out. I know this is the team that knocked out England. And you could maybe argue, look, not every position for this Brazil team is that great. I know people are going to look at Kaká. Kaká played like 5 minutes at this tournament, right? But for all the hype that we give England, guys, first and foremost, no one born in England can probably compare with Ronaldinho, R9, and Rivaldo. Rivaldo, who was maybe the best player at that tournament, by the way. Rivaldo, R9, and Ronaldinho. For all the talk about England's great players, who do they have that can stack up to Ronaldinho, R9, and Rivaldo? That's without even talking about Lucio at the back. A beast, an all-time great in his own right. You're talking about Cafu at right back. You're talking about Roberto Carlos at left back. Even in midfield, you're talking about Gilberto Silva. These are not scrubs I'm talking about. They're world-class to all-time great level players. And England lost to them, and yes, they lost to them quite closely. I'm not trying to say England couldn't even hang with these guys. England, of course, had a great team as well, too. And it was only a Ronaldinho moment of magic, or maybe even moment of madness, that knocks out England. But I don't think you can look at World Cup 2002 and say, oh, England, man, they really underwhelmed at that tournament. Look who they lost to. Look who they lost to. Look at this Brazil team. Come on, man. Come on. I'm going to look at Euro 2004 next. Now, obviously, Greece won this tournament. England had a better team than Greece. I mean, everyone had a better team on paper than Greece. That's a miracle, right? Greece winning Euro 2004 is like Leicester-esque. You can't really look at any other team and say, wow, like how, that's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing. But this is the team that England did go out to. Look at some of the players on this team. First and foremost, take yourself back to Euro 2004. 2004 is the year that Porto won the Champions League. Therefore, Portugal's team going into that tournament largely consisted of players from that Champions League winning team, most notably Ricardo Carvalho, who would go on to play for Chelsea and be part of one of the, maybe the best defense we've ever seen in Premier League history. Deco, who was probably the best player on that Porto team. And honestly, when you talk about should they have won a Ballon d'Or, I mean, Deco that year had an amazing year. You're looking at a great Porto team that really made up a lot of the Portugal side. Of course, as well, too, you're talking about Luis Figo, one of the greatest players of all time. You're talking about a young Cristiano Ronaldo, granted, not Cristiano Ronaldo of 2012, but still a damn good Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he finished as his side's top scorer and top assister at this tournament, even as an 18, 19-year-old. It's an amazing, this Portugal team was very, very good. Even look at Maniche in midfield. This guy could hang, bro. Maniche at international tournaments used to go to tournaments with Portugal and dominate midfields. So, granted, look, if you're looking at England versus Portugal, Lampard, Gerrard, Rooney, yes, they're great players. And pound for pound, they're probably a better team than Portugal. But it's not like, for me, they're overwhelmingly better. I'm sorry, I'm looking at some of the players that Portugal are rocking out here, bro. Pauleta as well, too. You'll kind of get the gist of where I'm going. But I think this is a damn good team as well, too. Playing at home that honestly probably should have won this tournament. We then go to Italy 2006. Please, just take in some of the players we're looking at here. Andrea Pirlo, Francesco Totti, Fabio Cannavaro, Gianluigi Buffon, Luca Toni, Alessandro Nesta, who didn't even play most of the tournament due to injury, Gattuso, Zambrotta, Del Piero, who was on the bench half the time, Pippo Inzaghi, who was on the bench half the time. This is an elite side that won the World Cup in 2006. But they weren't the only team that wanted to win in 2006. Like I said, the aforementioned France, who had an amazing team. Brazil went into that tournament with huge hopes. I mean, they were the overwhelming favorites before a ball was even kicked. Portugal went to the semifinals, and they had a great side. I'm even going to throw you guys a team that you might not even think about. But Argentina, I thought were incredible at World Cup 2006 and got really unfortunate to lose on penalties. But look at this team. I mean, young Messi, young Tevez, that goes without saying. Young Mascherano as well, too. But Riquelme, who was one of the best midfielders on the planet for his time. Hernan Crespo, who was a gunman up front. Lucho Gonzalez, I always thought was super underrated. Like Esteban Cambiasso, a wizard in midfield. These are great teams. And what I'm kind of trying to paint you guys here is England had an amazing team, but I also think it gets a little exaggerated because they all play in the Premier League, and that's what most people are watching. So when you watch something week in, week out, in your eyes, that's the best product because you're not really watching what's going on across the world. So England had an amazing team, but how amazing was it compared to the rest of the world? I'm sure Argentina were going to tournaments with some of these players. Riquelme, Crespo, Cambiasso, Messi, Tevez. Again, granted they're young, right? But still top talents. Messi in 2006 is still being seen as, wow, he could be one of the best players in the world one day. I'm sure they're going to this World Cup and their media team is also saying, wow, Argentina, we got a real golden generation coming together that could do something at this tournament. Italy are thinking to themselves, wow, look at the players we have. It's all coming together at once. All these players in their prime. We should be doing something at this tournament. France likewise, Brazil likewise, Portugal likewise, the Dutch in 2004 likewise. I mean, look at some of their names. Jaap Stam, Van der Sar, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Clarence Seedorf. Edgar Davids, a young Robin, a young Van der Vaart on the bench. If anybody probably looks at the 2000s and thinks to themselves, how didn't we win anything? It's probably the Dutch. I mean, I'm not even forgetting their 2008, 2010 team that had Van Persie, Schneider, Robin, Van der Vaart. I mean, this was a top team with top attackers. They didn't win anything, but they were going to these tournaments as well too, with all the hope in the world. Which then takes us to Spain 2010. I mean, this is truly the definition of a golden generation, in my opinion. Like, you know how we're talking about, oh, every country goes to a tournament and thinks to themselves, they have to win it because we have the best team by a mile? That's Spain. And newsflash, they did win everything. 2008, 2010, 2012. Look at this damn team. Seriously, this is 2010, obviously, right? I mean, Casillas, Busquets, this is his first tournament. Ramos, Puyol, El Nino, Fabregas, Iniesta, Xavi, David Villa, David Silva, who barely played this. David Silva barely played at this tournament. Fabregas was coming off the bench. Javi Martinez, for my money, one of the most underrated defensive midfielders, couldn't get a sniff in this team. This is what you call, guys, a golden generation side that actually maximized what they were supposed to do. With England, just to wrap this up one last time, did they have amazing players? 100%. Could they have set up a lot better than they did? 100%. If I was the England coach in 2006, I'm not playing 4-4-2. I'm going to tell you right now, all due respect to the late, great Sven-Goran Eriksson. But I don't think he was right to play that system, and a lot of England players don't either. But even if you had put them in the perfect setup and they were all getting along in camp, the way they all say they wish they did. I'm sorry, is that England side beating this Italy team? Would they stand a chance? 100%. I'm not trying to say they're a million miles off it. But are they any better than this Italy team? Not for my money. Are they any better than this Brazil team? Not for my money. Are they better than this France team? I wouldn't say so. Are they better than this Spain team? Hell no. They're probably still in the conversation with this Argentina side, with this Dutch team, with this Portuguese team. The only team I'm leaving out of this that's obviously considered a world powerhouse is Germany, because in the 2000s, Germany went through a real death of talent. And it was only until like 2008, 2009, 2010, when this new crop of German footballers, I say German, but they really made an emphasis as well too on bringing through players of different backgrounds, right? You had the Ozils, the Khediras, the Jerome Boatengs, Thomas Muller obviously coming through the ranks, Neuer. It was only until then that Germany really returned to the Germany we would go on to know in the 2010s. In the 2000s, England had a better team than them. But I'm looking at the rest of these sides, guys. I'm not going to lie. You're going to have a hard time selling to me that England had a better side than they did and that England were going to these tournaments needing to win. Obviously, the expectation from the media is always huge of England, but to say that they had a better side than any of them or that they should have been winning competitions over any of these other teams, for me, is just a classic case of Premier League lens. Like, we're looking at it through Premier League lens. Now, if we flash forward all the way to today, I look at things a little differently. I think England right now, definitely, in terms of talent, have one of the best national teams on the planet, flat out. In terms of just quality players, you're talking about France, you're talking about Spain, and I think you're talking about England. I'm like, well, obviously Argentina are the world champions and they're going to go in as a huge favorite. But Argentina, let's be real, guys, are more based on just having a really good setup and a genius up front rather than having the best players in every single position. But when you look at the best squads, now I look at England and I'm like, oh my goodness, only a few teams can even chat to them in terms of quality of the squad from front to back. 2006, 2004, 2008 didn't even qualify for the tournament. 2010, they got destroyed by Germany. Personally, I think the golden generation is a little overhyped. Obviously, the individual players that they had some ballers. No doubt about it. But as a squad, I think we look at it massively through the lens of Premier League bias. Because it's the league that the whole world is watching, we automatically put these guys up there with everybody. I don't know if that really matched up with reality. Great team, no doubt about it. I wouldn't go much further than that. However, that's just my opinion. Obviously, the players will probably disagree with it, which they have every right to, right? I would expect every player to back himself at these tournaments. But that's just really my opinion. I'd love to know your comments down below. Do you think the England golden generation was overhyped by the media? Do you think it's still to this day overhyped by the media? Or do you agree with a lot of these players that they really should have done more at these tournaments? Do you think there's a tournament that England should have won? I mean, maybe people will say 2004. Here's another thing as well too, right? Before I sign off. A big reason for why England underwhelmed at every single tournament. There's this myth that goes around that Rooney was not good for England. And obviously his record at tournaments is poor. But I think there's a reason for it that no one talks about. Wayne Rooney entered every single international tournament after Euro 2004, either entering the tournament injured or coming off the back of a major injury. April 2006, fractured metatarsal against Chelsea. a huge doubt even before the tournament, and eventually went into the tournament and didn't play his best football. Euro 2008, it's not even stated here. But Wayne Rooney, ahead of Euro 2008's do-or-die qualifier against Croatia, already had been injured earlier in the season for 2 months with a hairline fracture on his left foot. And then entering the final game, do or die against Croatia, which of course they ended up losing to not qualify, suffered an ankle injury in training, forcing him to not even be able to play that game. World Cup 2010, suffered a massive injury against Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals in the Champions League in the first leg. That first and foremost effectively curtailed Man United's entire season after that. With that injury, he was effectively carrying us all season. We didn't win the league because of it. We didn't even go far in the Champions League because of it. And then entered the tournament off the back of an injury. Euro 2012, he wasn't injured, which is a shame because he had a great season the year before. But in Euro 2012, he missed the first 3 games. I think actually it might have been reduced to 2. But he missed the first 2 games due to a red card that he suffered in a qualifier. So he didn't get to go into that tournament basically with full momentum because he came in halfway through. And then in 2014, finished the season injured with a groin injury that caused him to miss the final few games for Man United. And again, entered a World Cup not in fully fit form. I know here they're saying he's deemed fully fit. I remember that season, guys. He missed the final few games of the season. The only one was really Euro 2016. And at that point, Wayne Rooney is kind of washed. But my whole point here is, even on top of the fact that I feel like England's golden generation gets overhyped a little bit, the best player for England in that period was entering every single tournament with a knock. How can you win a tournament like that? All that to say, full credit to all these players, honestly. Like, I respect Gerrard and Lampard and Scholes and all these guys massively for A, obviously their careers, but B, the humility that they show. And honestly, the respect that Gerrard showed for so many of England's players. Like I said, go check out the interview. I think Rio did an amazing job, and it's fascinating hearing Gerrard all these years later because the guy is literally overflowing with knowledge. But golden generation, man, I'm not sure I'm buying it. I'm genuinely not sure I'm buying it. This might be hindsight to a few people. Some people might be thinking I'm rewriting history. I don't know, man. I think if you were to go to any of those rival countries before those tournaments 20 years ago, their media would have been hyping up their team just as much as the English media was hyping up theirs. That's my 2 cents on it. Get involved in the comment section down below. I'd really like to hear your thoughts. And yeah, make sure you subscribe as well too, guys. We're almost at 90,000 subscribers. The goal is to get to 100K before the end of the year. And as I always say, I can only get there with your guys' help. So like, share, subscribe, get involved in the comments down below. And we'll see you guys for another video very, very soon. Peace.